Welcome to the ABC21 StormTrack Special. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Leach, and over the next 30 minutes, my team and I will go over a variety of severe weather preparedness tips to tornado preparedness and flooding and its effects on local farmers. Before we get to all those stories, though, I'd like to introduce you to the newest member of our team, StormTracker 21. This storm chase vehicle is the first and only of its kind in northern Indiana and northwest Ohio. We have a 360-degree view of our surroundings, can pull up radar at a moment's notice and broadcast the data on Facebook Live or through our newscasts, and have an HD front-facing camera for real-time storm analysis. In fact, you might have already seen some of this technology in action this past winter.
Snow is starting to stick on the roadways. Here's a look over at the westbound lane of 469. And you can see some of the snow. It is on the ground, especially those grassy surfaces beginning to pick up on some of that snow. Here's a look behind us too. You can see some of the snow on the roadways, not quite creating treacherous conditions yet.
We're kind of curious, Matthew, what can you tell us about how the roads are right now?
Well, Nick, right now I'm on Coldwater Road heading northbound, but as we take a look at the road conditions at the moment, they are wet, but the snow is starting to stick onto the sidewalk. But you can definitely see some heavier bands just off towards our west. And right now, where we are, we're this little crosshair, so we're still in northwest part of into Fort Wayne, but we still have lots of snow off towards our south and west.
Of course, this can handle more than just winter weather. Needless to say, we're excited to put StormTrack 21 to use this spring and summer once severe weather season gets going, which of course will ramp up sooner than later. So severe weather season, of course, is just around the corner, and we tend to get severe weather here, but not really as extreme as other portions of the country. Climatologically speaking, we actually tend to see more wind and hail events than we do tornadic events. In fact, according to the National Weather Service of Northern Indiana, climate data from 1980 to 2010 shows that Allen County saw the most severe wind reports in all of northern Indiana and northwest Ohio, with 189 gusts of 60 miles per hour or greater. Kosciuszko and Van Wert counties came in second and third with 157 and 127 reports respectively. Now, when it comes to severe hail, which is about the size of a quarter or greater, Allen County won again with 132 large hail reports as opposed to the second highest number of 74 coming from Huntington County. As mentioned earlier, tornadoes are less frequent. From 1980 to 2010, Van Wert County, for reasons unknown, came out as the most active with 20 tornadoes. The second and third most active counties in the area appear to be Kosciuszko, Allen, and Adams counties. In terms of total tornadoes in northern Indiana and northwest Ohio, the most active time of year is June, with 71 recorded tornadoes in the 30-year time period from 1980 to 2010. July and May are pretty close behind, but perhaps the most important takeaway here is that we have seen at least one tornado touchdown in every month of the year except December. So winter, spring, summer, and fall can all bring the possibility of severe weather to the region. Now this brings me to astrophobia, or the fear of storms. It's a very common fear around here, particularly since we get some severe and strong storms, but tornado survivability is actually higher than you might think. Meteorologist Gabe Pro has more. We've got a tornado warning for Wabash County, so we wanted to show you that right now.
For some, they are words that frighten.
You can get caught in a cycle of fear. So it's very, very important to understand just how it is that you can survive a tornado.
But tornado warnings aren't issued to scare you, but to protect you. Dr. Kim Klokow-McLean is a tornado and social science researcher at the National Severe Storms Laboratory and University of Oklahoma. She says the fear of tornadoes may be greater than the actual threat to your life.
It's really important for people to know that while they can seem really scary, actually your odds for getting through them are extremely good if you can just do a couple of things.
Klokow-McLean emphasizes that having a severe weather plan before a tornado warning is issued is most important.
One of those things is to be indoors, away from windows, with as many walls between you and the outside as possible. You don't have to be underground to survive a tornado, even for the worst tornadoes.
But you do need to be informed. She stresses, staying weather aware is crucial.
Pay attention to the weather and have a place identified that is an anchored structure.
And despite their fear-inspiring reputation, tornadoes are surprisingly survivable.
When you look at the total number of people who were in the tornado, you realize over 98 to 99% of people survive even the worst tornadoes in the worst damage.
So plan ahead, and the next time a tornado warning is issued for your area, Remain calm and put your severe weather plan into action.
You really don't have to feel a paralyzing sense of fear about it. Take the right kinds of actions. Have a spot, identified in your home or in the home of somebody very close by ahead of time, and then it won't take you any time at all to get there, and your odds of getting through it are very, very good.
Gabe Pro, ABC21.
Coming up, a follow-up on the Memorial Day tornadoes that ripped through Indiana and Ohio, and how schools are preparing for severe weather season in 21 countries. Welcome back. Just last year, on May 27, 2019, a series of tornadoes moved through northern Indiana into northwest Ohio, devastating cities like Dayton, but also one small community in 21 country. Reporter Ariel Cadet went to Celina, Ohio to check on the rebuilding efforts there.
Almost a year ago, Celina, Ohio looked like this.
Last Memorial Day, of course, we got the call around 10 o'clock, 10:30, that a tornado, fairly sizable F3 tornado, had hit Celina.
That's Craig Flack. He's the teaching pastor at the Celina First Church of God. He tells me Celina has been hit by other tornadoes before this, but this one was different.
So this was unique for our town in how many homes it destroyed. It destroyed dozens of homes and affected well over 100 homes.
The Celina First Church of God became a hub for food and resources, serving anyone who was in need during that time.
It became a de facto aid station, which was not expected, but we had more food and water and all that stuff brought here, so folks from the neighborhoods that were affected were just kind of able to walk over and get relief and kind of go from there.
So how is Celina doing now, and how did they get back on their feet?
So the unique area of being in a small town, the kind of term Celina Strong, kind of borrowing from the Boston Strong, kind of came out of it, and we really saw the best of a small, tight-knit community where it doesn't have to be my neighbor to be my neighbor.
Celina's Mayor Jeffrey Hazel agrees.
As I look back a year ago, somewhat fresh in my mind when I hear of other places that have had storms like that. But I also know, I look at what we're doing as a community. Half of those homes that were destroyed are either under construction or have been completed.
He says throughout the time, the community bonded together and found the light in the darkness.
I saw that. I saw hope keep bleeding through everywhere. And hope is what keeps people to keep going on. You see people in the hospital or people that are really sick, they've just lost that hope and that desire and that will. But the hope that came about of seeing somebody new showing up, seeing that, it's taking shape. I finally got that wrecked, demolished house out of the way. That hope just kept coming through, and they kept going on and going forward as they do today.
Now, while northern Indiana and northwest Ohio doesn't quite get the severe weather other parts of the country like Tornado Alley get, it's still important to understand the difference between severe thunderstorm watches and warnings, as well as tornado watches and warnings. A severe thunderstorm watch is issued when conditions are favorable for severe storm development. In other words, we are watching for the possibility of severe weather, but it has not happened yet. A severe thunderstorm warning means severe weather is imminent or already occurring. A severe thunderstorm is defined as containing wind speeds of 58 miles per hour or greater and/or large hail the size of a quarter or greater. Severe thunderstorm watches can last hours, but severe warnings usually last for less than an hour. Tornado watches and warnings are similar. A tornado watch means conditions are favorable for tornado development, but no tornadoes have yet touched down. It is entirely possible to have a tornado watch, only to have it later canceled with no tornado touchdown. A tornado warning, however, much like a severe thunderstorm warning, is an imminent threat. This means a tornado is either already on the ground or could touch down shortly. Tornado warnings can last as little as 15 minutes or as long as an hour, depending on the environment and the threat posed. Now, you know what to do if a tornado warning is issued. You go to the lower level of your building, or you go into an interior room like a closet or a bathroom. But what happens if a tornado warning is issued while school is in session? Meteorologist Matthew Bullock finds out.
Just last year in Indianapolis, a tornado ripped apart a school. Luckily, it was in mid-June and school was let out. The peak of tornado season starts in April and runs through July. The threat of severe weather lurks everywhere. We spoke with Northwest Allen County Chief Communication Officer Lizette Downey about what the procedures are for keeping our children safe.
When we do tornado drills and warnings, we will practice and pull the kids out and go to the safest areas within each school.
Even though some schools are very large, places to take shelter are very limited in the buildings. Areas include bathrooms, closets, and interior classrooms with no windows. However, there are far worse spots to take shelter at schools.
We would not have them down at an entrance or a bunch of windowed areas. We would avoid probably the gymnasiums area because they're tall and there's a lot of debris that could come down if the ceiling would cave in.
Once the students are escorted to the correct shelter location at the school, the next step is for the students and staff to get in their safety positions and spots.
Have them turn around, bend down on their hands and knees, and put their hands over their head.
During an event of a tornado, sometimes it may be difficult to keep the kids calm. I spoke with Perry Hill Elementary School counselor Allie Pannebecker to get some helpful tips on how to keep your young people calm in case of a tornado emergency.
We also just let them know, like, hey, you're safe, we're right here. Keeping them comfortable and keep letting them know they're safe. It's not too difficult typically.
Once the tornado event is over, there's one final procedure that you should be sure to follow, and that's accountability.
Teachers will take roll call before and after, and they do have some color coding cards that they hold up of saying, okay, we have everyone accounted for, or no, we're missing, and then one or two or however many. And so they will make sure that everybody has been counted and is present.
In the state of Indiana, there hasn't been one tornado-related fatality at school in nearly a century. With this plan of action, we will keep it this way for the future ahead. I'm Matthew Bullock with ABC21.
Coming up, a recap of what was one of the mildest winters in at least 4 years and how this winter has impacted and could continue to impact local farmers. It's no question we had a really mild winter, but did you know that the coldest temperatures of the winter season actually really didn't even occur in winter? It was in late fall, right before Thanksgiving. We had record low cold temperatures. On November 12th, we only saw a high temperature of 25 degrees, breaking a 100-year-old record. That night, the temperature got down to 9 above zero, breaking the old low temperature record of 11 set back in 1911. Finally, the next day on Wednesday the 13th, we saw a record low temperature of 6 degrees. After that, winter was pretty absent. In fact, back in January, reporter Jeff Newmeyer produced a story about how construction in Fort Wayne actually thrived in the dead of winter.
January 30th, typically not a prime time for outdoor construction in town, but no real problem this year. Crews are making progress on the Goshen Avenue modernization project, widening and enhancement of State Boulevard, and roadwork on Ardmore Avenue. In addition, crews busy laying sidewalk here on Hessen Castle southeast, Bluffton Road southwest, and Reed Road far north.
We're able to pour concrete when the temperatures have been like they have been. If the ground were frozen, we wouldn't be pouring that concrete, so that's a real plus.
Street and sidewalk projects moving along faster. Also, some commercial and housing projects in town are seeing benefit from the warmer January.
When all was said and done, the winter of 2019-2020 was the 9th warmest on record, with an average temperature of 32.2 degrees. That's nearly 5 degrees above normal. We also saw rainfall come in at nearly 9 inches from December to February, about 2 inches above average. Now, not surprisingly, snowfall was 10 inches below normal, with a total of 16.2 inches. This means our winter was the 34th least snowiest and the least snowiest since the winter of 2016-2017. Month by month, December was 5 degrees above normal and just a hair wetter than average. January was almost 8 degrees above normal, with rainfall nearly 2 inches above average. And February was the coldest month, coming in at a little over a degree above normal, with rainfall at exactly normal. Now, with this past mild winter, we know that there are going to be some impacts for local farmers. That's where we sent meteorologist Matthew Bullock to get some answers.
We may love having the warm weather around, but sometimes it's not the best for the farming community.
I wouldn't want it to be any warmer, but and it could be colder, but we're not affected by it. We're okay.
Precipitation is up, but not so much in the form of snow. We're about 10 inches below normal. Lots of snow can be frustrating to deal with, but for farmers, it's a mixed bag.
The snow is good and bad for it's actually good for two reasons. One, If you're going to get precipitation, which we do, it's stored up so the vines aren't setting in wet, saturated roots all the time. And two, it does keep the ground from getting too cold when we do have those temperature changes.
For me personally, I don't want a lot of snow because too much snow makes it hard to get around out there for pruning and trimming and other work we do.
If predictions hold true and we get warmer weather in the weeks ahead, there's potential impacts to the crops grown here.
We're more worried about the fluctuation in temperature than we are the ups and downs.
If you recall back in 2012, in March, we were in the 80s for a week. That brought the trees out of dormancy way too soon. And we wound up getting some frost on the trees, on the blossoms when they did bloom. So if it warms up too much too soon, that's very bad.
Looking back at our climate data, we are trending to have more future winters with less snow, followed by warmer temperatures than average. This may lead to more economic impacts for the future ahead for the state. I'm Matthew Bullock with ABC 21.
Coming up, what does a marginal or enhanced risk of severe thunderstorms mean? And what's in store temperature and rainfall-wise for the upcoming spring and summer? All that and more after the break. Welcome back. Severe weather season, of course, doesn't officially start until about May, and it peaks through August, but that doesn't mean we can't see severe weather before then. The Storm Prediction Center, based in Norman, Oklahoma, issues daily severe weather forecasts that assess threats all across the country. These threats are divided up into 5 categories, ranging from lowest severe weather chance to highest. They're as follows: marginal, slight, enhanced, moderate, and high. A marginal risk of severe storms means spotty severe weather is possible, but that wind speeds should, by and large, remain below severe limits, with small hail possible. This usually also means the tornado risk is low. A slight risk of storms means 1 or 2 tornadoes, some spotty severe wind gusts, and hail of an inch in diameter or greater is possible. An enhanced risk means more widespread severe weather is possible, with a few tornadoes and several wind and hail damage reports. A moderate risk, which has only been issued twice in the past 6 years for our region, means strong tornadoes and destructive wind and hail is expected. A high risk, which has only been issued once in the past 10 years, indicates a tornado or severe weather outbreak is expected. Now it's time for our official spring and summer forecast for the 2020 season. Now, I expect that temperatures will be near to slightly above normal, with precipitation near to slightly below normal. After a mild and seasonably wet spring, I expect a cooler and drier end to spring and the start to summer, which could mean a delayed start to severe weather season. Temperatures should ramp up towards the end of the summer, but conditions are expected to remain on the drier side, meaning that while severe weather will still be possible, flooding events should be limited. Now, of course, severe weather coverage is extremely important to us, and we take a lot of pride in our social media severe weather coverage. Here are some examples of how we've utilized Facebook Live in particular to get the word out to you first and in the most accurate way possible.
Meteorologist Caleb Chevalier is on the other side of the camera, other side of the phone, taking a video, and I want to give you an update on the weather situation. We have a couple severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. We could be seeing perhaps some nickel-sized, maybe up to quarter-sized hail into Huntington. Again, on the northwest side of the city. Decatur could be seeing a little bit of that too.
Also, there's some tilt to this storm, maybe a little bit of shear helping to suspend some hail there.
See some broad rotation. You can see that here actually in a couple different spots. What this yellow arrow means in a counterclockwise motion is that there is some broad rotation with these storms.
We do want to mention, though, there has been a severe thunderstorm warning also issued now for Mercer County. That goes into effect until midnight.
And again, we are tracking this tornado warning, likely seeing some rotation here near Wren-Landick Road, also along 116 Middle Point Wetzel Road. This is right along 116 and 697 just to the east, about 7 miles east of Ohio City, Ohio.
Now, another critical part of social media severe weather coverage are the photos you send our way. And these are critical because it helps us understand what you're seeing. And when we're in the studio, we can't always see what you're seeing. So here are a few useful tips to know as you're taking those pictures. The first thing to remember when taking photos is to do it in landscape mode or horizontally. Vertical photos are a little more difficult to see and size up on our computer system. So that's really helpful just to take it in a horizontal landscape way. The next thing to remember is time, date, and location. What's the time you took the photo? When did you take it in terms of the day? And where are you? Where are you located when you took this photo? This will help us get the most clear and accurate information out to our viewers in a severe weather moment or event. And also keep in mind that when we're talking about things like hail, a size comparison is really important. So you can either put the hailstone next to a quarter or a dime, or this one's even better. Here's a good photo example of some hail. You can see it's measured about 3/4 of an inch or 2 inches in diameter. A ruler or something else will really help us understand the size of the hailstone. Last but not least, here's how you can connect with us when the weather gets bad. Meteorologist Matthew Bullock, our weekend morning meteorologist, can be found on meteorologist Matt Bullock ABC21 on Facebook and at Matt_WX on Twitter. Our morning meteorologist, Nick Maruziak, can be found on Facebook at meteorologist Nick Maruziak and on Twitter at NMaruziakWX. And finally, my Facebook page is Matt Leach, ABC21 Weather, and Twitter it's at WXMatt1. Well, that concludes our spring weather special, and we are committed to the most accurate weather information both on air and on television all season long.